All right, everybody. This is class 4 of our wonderful angelic ministry series in February of 2025, and I am Reverend Sue Frederick. Let's close our eyes and pray in. Take a breath with me. And as we breathe in to the breath that connects us all heart to heart, soul to soul, the angels remind us that this knowledge that we are talking about and experiencing in this class is essential, that we are being called to help shift consciousness in these troubled times, to help bring a greater, higher awareness of what life truly is to the world, and that they applaud us for our courage in our ability to see beyond the mainstream thought, and they lift us up to hold us in the light of unconditional love, which is the force of this divine order universe. And so it is. Hello, everyone. So, um, tonight I have a lot of things. Oh, thank you. Margaret's putting homework in there. And don't forget, one of the most important things we did last week was the meditation where we put a loved one in the circle with the angels and had the angels do their special work, healing work with that person. And I'm just wondering if any of you had an angelic intervention this week that you want to share, or an experience that was important with that person that you put in the circle in the angelic meditation last night. And you have to unmute. Hey, Miss 8 Personality Lydia, did you
Yeah,
unmute?
it's not with that person, but it was an important angelic moment. May I share it?
Yes, yes.
So I'll try and be very fast. For the last 14 years, I've been going to the same car dealership. For the last couple of years, I noticed an elder gentleman who worked there would always walk by me when I was there, and he would slow down. So he would go slowly enough so I would have time to look up and notice him and say hello. And then he would sort of react like, "Oh, who, me? You want to talk to me?" And then we would talk for like 30 minutes. And he was so sweet. And he was a very like kind of gruff looking man. So it was always so surprising to me that he was so tender. And we would talk about when he wrote Christmas cards to all his family and friends and all this good stuff. So it's been a couple of years. I go there about 6 times a year. And about 4 months ago, I was there, and he came up to me. He looked different, and he goes, they discovered some cancer, but they removed it, and I lost 30 pounds. And I was like, "You're amazing. You're so wonderful." I gave him a huge hug, and we talked about it. And I said, that it's just going to keep getting better from here. And then I was there a month ago, and he looked great. And we talked again, and everything was on the upswing. And then Friday, I had to go in front my missions, and I was kind of flustered, so I wasn't really thinking about him when I went in. But I sat down, and one of the women, who I don't really know, got up and she said, "I need to tell you that Wayne died 2 weeks ago, suddenly." And she said, "And I need you to know how much he cared about you and how much he talked about you every time you left." And he would say, "She's such a nice lady." And she said, "I think, he had a crush on you." And I'm like, "Well, that's okay." And she said, "So I just really need you to know that." And then she paused and she said, "And my last interaction with him was not good." She goes, "We had an argument and I'm going to live with that for the rest of my life." And I said, "No, you're not." I said,
Good.
because that's the last thing that Wayne would want. I said, "You guys were together for years. He wants you to think about all the good times you had. He wants you to celebrate that. He wants you to celebrate him. He wants you to have me celebrate him." And I said, "And that's the path we're taking." So today I actually posted on my Instagram feed a tribute to him, because as we know, when people are passing, they want us to celebrate them and their goodness. And so that was my tribute to him. And but I just thought it was a moment where,
Yeah.
I was able to receive and also give some
You were
angelic.
doing your angelic ministry.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think
And when we talk about what our angelic ministries are, that's exactly what we're talking about. You know, the gift that you brought to that man who might have looked kind of tough on the outside, but you were able to see his heart, connect with his heart. And I always think it's so interesting when people say, oh, that person has a crush on you or something. To me, what that really means is they're seeing the beauty of your soul, you know, and they're feeling very drawn to you because you're revealing your soul wisdom in that conversation. And that's a really important thing for us to remember here when we're drawn to each other in the earth realm. It always has something to do with the soul seeing the soul. And later, to make logic sense of it, we'll say, oh, I have a crush on that person, or I like the way they dress, or something. But it's always about the soul recognizing another beautiful soul. Well
absolutely.
done. Well done, Lydia.
Gail had her hand up as well.
Oh, my Gail. Yes, yes.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Um, so last week I had Hannah in the angel circle because she's been struggling with her career and kind of wondering, what her next step should be. And she was really in a toxic environment with work and everything. And so I've been, trying to help her and asking the angels to intervene and help her. And last week she got brave and she decided to quit her job on Thursday. And it was very scary. And I was very proud of her. I mean, that's kind of funny to say I'm proud of my daughter for quitting, but it was
Oh,
because
that's right. That's
I
right.
was teaching her, I explained it to her that the lesson was that she was learning to use her voice and to speak up and stand up for herself, because that's very not like her personality. But the beautiful thing was she had a few job opportunities kind of like in the, that she had interviewed for. So she finally had the courage on Thursday to tell her boss that she was giving her notice. And she did it in a very mature, respectful way. And the very next day on Friday, she got a job offer for another job that she's really excited about. So
So
she
good.
was so thrilled because she feels like she sees the lesson that she had to cut ties with the toxic environment and open to the universe, that she's ready to move on to something bigger and
Yeah.
better.
You know,
So
Gail, that's beautiful. It also illustrates how when our soul and our intuition is telling us something is wrong, you know,
yep,
the logical mind will say, well, you need the benefits, you need the paycheck, you need to stay there,
yeah,
you'll get another
yeah,
job. But the soul and the intuition have a total different plan. And if
yeah,
we would just listen to them and take that leap, the
yeah.
plan can move into effect.
Yeah, because my husband
I'm
kept
so
saying,
happy.
you have to have another job before you can quit. You have to have another job before you can quit. And I was more supportive, saying, if you're at the point, you have to learn to use your voice and,
Yeah.
advocate for yourself. So
Oh,
I'm proud
good.
of them.
So glad to hear
I'm
it.
thankful that they helped.
Yes, the angels helped, definitely.
Yeah.
So I had a very interesting thing happen with my mom, because I had put her in the circle. She's 98, she's bedridden, she's not doing well at all. She's in a lot of pain, you know, and yet she keeps constantly rallying. And I put her in the circle asking the angels to relieve her suffering. You know, I'm not trying to change her soul exit date because we can't do that. Each soul has its own process.
Mhm.
Um, but I asked for that. And it was so amazing because the next day, my brother texts and says, wow, the hospice nurse said today that mom is completely declining and could be gone in a few days. And I was thinking, wow, maybe the angels really helped her let go, you know. But here it is a week later, and she's still lingering with us. But this is why I also wanted to send that angel video to you all, because the funny part of that video for me is that I believe we can get an extension sometimes if we have unfinished business. And that person in the video, it felt to me, her children were still trying to process that she was going to die. They were only in their 20s. And so that angel like said, all right, I'll give you 3 more months. You can go back in and kind of be with them and tie up all the loose ends. And I feel like my mother keeps getting this angel extension, and I'm trying to figure out for whom. And it has to be one of my brothers, that they're not ready to let her go. And I think I know which one it is.
Mhm.
And but every time I talk to him, he's just so lost in all kinds of negative thinking. So I think I'm going to put him in the circle this week so that he can release her. Yes, Mary?
Oh, if you're done, I wanted to share a little bit.
Yes.
Let me just lower my hand. I just found that whole experience so powerful, that healing circle that we had last week. And I did go back to it several times this week. But um, during our last session, when you asked, when we welcomed in Source, and I was holding my friend Cindy, who has having just terrible health issues. When you welcomed in Source, Bhagawan Nityananda, I don't know if you know,
Oh, of course.
yeah, very high being,
Yeah.
came in to our
Oh,
circle. And then followed behind him was Swami Muktananda.
of course.
And
Well,
yeah.
there's no accidents because I spent more than 10 years involved as a student of someone who Muktananda initiated. And that Swami told me that I was forever initiated into that lineage.
Mhm.
And Nityananda has walked through my bedroom, waking me up, tapping me on the top of my head to help me wake up my soul. So it's so cool that you're seeing all those beings.
Yes, and then like her parents came through, and she has a very difficult, they both passed on, but there's been a lot of pain there. So it was just I shared the whole experience with her, and it just really lifted her up so much,
Oh,
to
that's
know that
really
all those
good.
people came to the healing
Yeah.
and all those beings, I guess now, but
And also remind her that her parents are not in the same state that they were in when they were here. Because the minute we take that final breath and lift out of the physical body, and often before we take that breath, we lift up out of the physical body and we experience the union of our ego human self with our higher soul. And the higher soul is our enormous powerful being that has all wisdom, all unconditional love, knows everything. And we squeeze down into these earth lives for a purpose of learning and playing certain roles in the evolution of consciousness. But the moment we're reunited with our higher soul, we have pure love, pure wisdom. And so that's why when I take people to talk to someone, a parent perhaps who they had troubles with, that parent is completely different now and responding in a very loving and supportive way. It's only us here on the human realm that holds on to our memory or our vision of who that person was on earth, and we keep torturing ourselves with that. But they are not in that suffering. The other important point for all of us, which we talk about in every class, is not to hold on to any vision we have of a loved one crossing over in pain or trauma, because they aren't living there. They were often out of the body before that even happened. And so we carry those images, but they are free. They are in the divine universe of love, of higher consciousness. So we need to let go of those ideas, those images, that trauma, and those memories. And a lot of people ask me, well, how do you do that? Of course, it takes some spiritual work to do that. It takes some meditation and work like this, but also I love automatic writing. I mean, you can wake up in the morning and pull out your pen and paper and talk to that soul and say, I'm stuck in these memories. Tell me, are you in those memories? And just hear from them and write what you're receiving, because they will always tell you, no, I'm not there. Let go of that. I want you to be happy. The other thing is getting help with a therapist who does tapping or EMDR, all those things that help move trauma memories out of the body. Those are really good tools for letting go of those images, that trauma.
Yeah, I just started EMDR last week,
Oh,
and it's
good.
very powerful. But I did get a message from Catherine in meditation this morning that she said I didn't transition, I ascended.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it was a cool message. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, ascension is the thing, right? I wish we could learn to ascend while we're still in the human realm. I think
Mhm.
we're trying to learn that.
You're
To
teaching us
walk.
that. You're teaching us that
I was
now.
just gonna say, that's what we're doing in these sessions, Sue.
Right.
But you know, it's so important. Like we talked about, we had that class on Saturday. Some of you were there, Elevate Your Frequency. It's just so important that no matter what we're struggling with, we're very aware that our frequency level deeply affects our ability to remember who we are, to connect with divine beings, to feel the angels with us. And you know, there are such simple, easy ways to shift that frequency. And in class on Saturday, we talked about the gratitude, you know, that at any given moment we can feel grateful for something, whether it's your cat or the fact that you have power in your house, you know, things very simple and basic. You have a bed. When we really get back to that kind of gratitude, it lifts our frequency, it opens our heart, it reminds us that we are all connected and we are more than physical beings in a physical world. The most important awakening any of us can have on earth is the full on remembering that we are powerful divine beings who came here on purpose, that we had a life plan that we brought with us that said, you know, mine said, Hey, Sue. Oh, I want to talk about soul origin today. Mine said, Hey, Sue, you're from the angelic realm. You haven't spent a lot of time on earth, so it's going to be a bumpy road for you. But you're going to have so many wake up calls and so many grief and losses and traumas that by the end of it, you will have achieved what your soul is trying to do. And then every time I'm in my earth body, earth mind, not lifting up, it feels like, oh, too much. This is too painful. This is too hard. I can't do it. And I have a weepy day or something. And then the minute I do my spiritual work and remember that, or even ask the angels to lift me up, or I feel gratitude, I remember, ah, yes, I got this. This is something I agreed to walk, agreed to turn around and help others with what I'm learning. And it's been a long haul for me because I think I'm a slow learner. I know that your children who cross early have learned what they came to learn in a lifetime, and they're our angels, they're our accelerated souls. Okay, any other angelic interventions you want to share before we move on to soul origin discussion? All righty, nobody. Was it a hard week for you guys energetically? I'm just curious. I see a lot of heads. Okay.
Very much so.
Yeah, I felt like it was too. I had a lot of little glitchy things happen, and I was always kind of working hard to get my frequency into a better place, a sweeter place. Um, and then it was amazing because I realized part of it for me was physical pain, just because I was not sleeping well and having some pain in my hips and sleep issues. And the body has to be taken care of in order to help us with our frequency. And just reminding you all of that, that was one of your homework questions was do a self-review of what actions and or substances lower your frequency and eliminate them. Well, for me, I had to realize that nice cup of hot tea that I like in the afternoon, the caffeine tea, so I can keep going and getting my work done. I don't think I can do that anymore. I think it keeps me up at night. And even though it's just tea, it seems to have an effect on my sleep. And the minute I stopped doing that, I slept beautifully. And then I woke up the next morning going, life is good. So sometimes it's as simple as taking care of our physical self. And I've talked before about how what we eat is important. You know, we are energy beings. And if we're putting a lot of toxic food, processed foods, sugar, all that into the body, we have to fight harder to raise our frequency because our body feels heavy and sluggish. And that if we don't move, I know it's hard for people to move if the weather is bad, you don't get outside, etc. But even just in your own house, you can do movements in your bedroom, just you go watch a video on it. There's all kinds of videos of things you can just do in your bedroom to move your chi, to get your energy flowing. I used to love Tai Chi for that reason. You could just literally stand in one spot and move energy around in your body. Yoga does that as well. All of those are tools to help us raise our frequency. And we want to raise our frequency because we don't really want to feel bad. We are angels on earth. We are higher beings. We want to be connected to that higher soul of ours. And the other thing, of course, I always talk about is you have to be really careful. Well, now I know caffeine. I've been sneaking in too much caffeine, but we also have to be careful about alcohol as well. A lot of people say, oh, it doesn't affect me. It does, especially if you're a sensitive being, which all of you are. And I know me coming from the angelic realms, I've never been able to drink alcohol. I figured that out in my 20s, thank God, because like one beer and I was on a different planet. I think it's hardest for people who don't notice how affected they are by alcohol or other substances because then they think it's not messing with their energy or their aura. But it does. And so you can go on an experiment and say, for 2 weeks, I'm going to eat as if I'm recovering from an illness and be very careful and no alcohol, nothing bad, no sugar, and then just see how you feel in 2 weeks. See if your energy feels lighter and freer and happier. It is part of connecting to the angels. Yes, they can lift us up, but us doing our part to feel good, to lift up, to feel better is really, really important and helpful. And I would even add, especially in these times where people on earth there's so much conflict and negativity, anything we can do to lift our frequency, especially with the body, is very, very important. And you guys know how I feel about laughter too. Um, my sister sent me a video today from a Saturday Night Live skit. Oh my God, even 3 minutes of laughing out loud, I felt so great. So please use humor to lift you up. Even in the midst of a tragic situation, we can find something to laugh about. I always remember the story of when Paul was dying from cancer. He would find something like it would be a terrifying moment. He would be really suffering. And he would look at me and I would look at him and we would catch the absurd humor of what was going on in the midst and we'd both start laughing. And I always thought, oh my God, to be able to laugh in the moment of suffering, that is true lifting up to the angelic realms. And soul origin. Oh, Margaret, yes.
I don't mean to interrupt, but it looks like Kelly might need some
That's,
love.
oh, I love Kelly. How do you know she needs love? Where's my
She
Kelly?
looks upset, and
It's okay. We
Lydia,
don't have, I promised Callie she could come in and
okay.
not have to speak up if she doesn't want to.
Okay,
Um,
well, I want to let her know I was sending her some Reiki love, and
let's
then Lydia mentioned
A
something.
lot of
So,
love. We're
let's
sending
wow.
all
her a
do
lot of love.
let's all do this right now. Let's send Callie enormous love and healing. She has been through a trauma on really probably the most challenging trauma you could imagine, and she has the courage to be with us tonight. So let's wrap her in love. Put her in the middle of the angel circle right now. The angels are holding you, Callie, and telling you that all is well, even when it feels dark, even when you can't find the light. The light will find you, and that you are deeply loved and you are deeply held by the angels. And the angels applaud you for even joining us tonight. And so we hold you in unconditional love and grace. And so it is. Our
Thank
hearts
you.
are with you, Callie. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank
If
you,
you
Kelly.
if you want to unmute and talk, you can. You're very welcome to do that. Okay. All right. Thank you all, angels. See what a great group this is. People notice another person in pain. I love you guys so much. Um, okay. So now we're going to talk about soul origin. I think it's really important. I don't think we've talked about it much in this series of classes. But I want you all to think about what your soul origin is. So there are three, there may be many more, but the three I am most familiar with sources of our soul are the angelic realm, interplanetary galaxies, and the earth realm. And what that means is for example, if you've ever felt or known somebody who kind of came into the physical life, very clueless about how to navigate it, me, um, and kind of maybe just was so odd and didn't fit in, but always believed in higher frequencies and God and spirituality and always pursued spirituality. If that is you, if that is your departed loved one, it means that your soul has spent most of your time in the angelic realms with the angels, working to help the souls on earth. And you agreed, you said, hey, Earth needs help, and I agree to drop into the Earth realm and be one of the light carriers and walk through a very accelerated, probably painful lifetime in order to remember that that's who I am and that's why I'm here, and then to bring light and healing to everyone as I learn from the journey of the Earth life. And I know many of you are angelic realm souls. The other thing, angelic realm souls also have hypersensitivity in their body and in their emotions. The whole thing of crying easily and trying to fit in and hide that from the world, that's very much a sign of an angelic origin soul. The other thing is seeing the best in people and assuming that everyone is a great person and doing their best until you learn otherwise. That's another sign because the angelic souls see the higher soul in everyone. And I told some of you about after I was diagnosed with cancer and waiting to go through surgery, Jean took me to Whole Foods Market to get some groceries, and I saw the angelic higher soul in everyone in that store. I couldn't really buy groceries. I was just walking around going, oh my God, everyone is so gorgeous. And angel souls, angelic realm souls really see that in everyone, but then they get very hurt and disappointed because those people will often not be living up to that free will in action. And so angelic souls can feel very hurt early on in a lifetime, and then they might spend years in their anger before they kind of come back to who they are. That's certainly been my journey. The other very popular origin of a soul is the interplanetary being. And there are many very advanced galaxies that souls incarnate in, and many of them are choosing to incarnate on Earth because of two things. They want to bring a different perspective to Earth than what we've had here for a long time. So these are the very brilliant, overly thinking, come across with ideas that nobody's ever thought of before, especially with technology and things like that. And they're often very awkward socially. Often they don't even know how to express emotion. And that's because the reason they come to Earth is that in the other realms, there are many galaxies where people don't feel emotions. They live in their brilliant minds and live in a different kind of universe. And they see this amazing play of light and dark on the earth realm where souls are feeling so much pain and feeling so much love. And they see the accelerated growth that that causes. And so they agree to come to earth because they want to experience that. And if you know somebody and you say, they just don't feel anything. Chances are really good it's an interplanetary soul. And then we have the earth-based souls. So if you have ever known somebody who is so comfortable on earth, so comfortable in their earth body, so competent at everything here, whether it's making a living or, getting a job, nothing really bothers them. They're good at probably all of that stuff. Those are usually souls that have incarnated on earth thousands of times. We call them earth-based souls. And they keep staying here because they're part of the movement of progress and awakening on earth in the human realm. But they often forget about the divine realms, they forget about higher beings, and they can get lost just in, being CEOs of businesses or doing things that create wealth and success because they're so comfortable here. So those three sorts of and I'll share too that the people I know who are earth-based souls make me feel very safe. So, for example, my husband Gene is an earth-based soul. He knows how to open doors that I can't get to open. He knows how to, just basic, simple things on life that are so hard for me. Today we were laughing about it from a really silly thing we were trying to fix in the house. He just knows how to do things, and I don't. And he is definitely an earth-based soul. He has many memories from his past lifetimes, and this world, this realm is easy for him. So often an angelic soul will find a partner who's an earth-based soul because it makes them feel safe, like they can navigate this earth. And I had to go many for, I was 50 years old when I met Gene. So I had to go many, many decades here of just feeling so unglued here. And Jean really provided a sense of safety and stability. And that's what earth-based souls do. So when you think of it that way, and you look at your own life or your loved one's life, I want you to really figure out who you think they are and what you believe their soul origin is. So, if anybody wants to share about that, that would be welcome.
So can I ask you a question?
Mhm.
So you kind of already answered it because you're saying your husband and the earth-based one is totally describing my husband.
I know
So
you've always called him the Rock, Gail.
yes, and he is a COO and like, just everything, sports, everything's like so easy for him.
Right.
And he's always been so well grounded.
Hmm.
He kind of keeps me. But I was going to say, I was going to ask you, like, could soulmates then be from two different
Yeah.
situations and still be true soulmates?
Yeah, because the thing when we think about all of this, we start thinking, we forget that the highest realms that we go to in our meditations, it oversees all of it. So you know your soul posse in the highest realms, no matter where they've been incarnating, right? So when I go to talk to my soul posse in the higher realms, Jean is there, and my first husband, who was definitely interplanetary, is there, and my, different people who are angels are all there. So your soul posse includes souls that have incarnated in many different places. Because if they're affecting you and your life for better or worse, they are part of your soul posse and you've made an agreement with them in this lifetime. And those agreements don't mean that they're always going to be wonderful. In fact, they're rarely wonderful. They're always pushing us to grow and remember who we are. And as I've said a million times, if you've had trauma and pain and just crazy things happen in your life, you are probably a very accelerated soul growth plan right now, determined to wake up and bring your beautiful help to the world. And Gail, I know that you and Jake are angels, and I know that you're ready now to really help others with what you've learned from your sun crossing. Would you agree?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to know where you think your daughter's soul origin is.
Angelic for sure. I mean, absolutely. Even when she was the very first thing the pediatrician said to me when she saw her at the hospital was about she has a natural blonde spot on the top of her head. And I used to instinctively tell people she was touched by the angels. She was touched by the angels. Like I don't know why I would have said that,
Yeah,
but she
yeah,
is totally an angel, very sensitive very sensitive soul,
and
loves all animals, like just,
yeah.
you
And
know,
that's why she's going to have a hard time in mainstream careers, right?
yeah, that's
I
why
think
she
we,
needs you to help her.
yeah. And the bad thing is that so many people in their 20s are talked into believing, oops, there goes my camera again. Just don't know why that happens. Oops, sorry guys. I have some kind of glitch with my camera these days. Um, so many people who are angel souls get talked into getting that practical job and following the rules like everybody else. It almost never works. We're here to find our own unique path and as alternative as it can be in order to help others. And the great irony is we'll often choose to be born into a family that's very limited in their thinking and their understanding and probably earth-based. And, my father was an engineer, and if you didn't get a job like that, you were just going to have a horrible life. And to me, can you guys imagine me as an engineer? It makes me laugh. I
Yeah.
mean, my father would come to me in high school and I'd say, Dad, I had this dream and it came true. And I would describe the car wreck dream that I had had and how the truck we hit was green. And then the next day that would happen on the way home from school. And my father would be like, how do you know these things? He had no understanding of life beyond the physical, but he was kind to me, which I'm always grateful for. Whereas my mother, my mother was not. She did not like me being weird. She wanted the beautiful Southern debutante girl, and that just wasn't me. But
Mhm.
we choose these parents because they're going to push us first to try to maybe fit in and realize that's not where we belong, so that we'll have our awakenings and realize who we really are and step our into our great path and do our great work. Hardly, I've talked to so many very evolved souls who do great work on earth. Almost none of them have had a childhood where they felt loved and embraced and empowered. They had to push against the beliefs and the ideas that were handed to them in childhood in order to find their truth and find who they are. And that seems to be a very common thing on earth. Okay, Annette, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, I mean, can it be can it be a mix of that, which you get come from the angelic realms, but you're also functioning on Earth at least semi-good?
You mean, so in
Yeah,
other words, an angelic soul who is comfortable on earth?
yeah, something like that. Because I feel very coming from. I mean, I grew up with fairies in the forest, so
Mhm.
I had no concept of wanting to go out into the world. I played with dolls, I think, until I was 12. But um, but I do realize that I then got a high powered job, and I actually created a high powered company with 100 employees, and I was able to do it and actually bring it to fruition. And now I feel much more like I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, but and that's a typical story of an angelic soul. You'll find, like I found my niche in my 30s being a health writer, and I was so successful at it. After Paul and Chrissy had died of cancer, I was then writing about how to live a healthy life, and I really rose to the top of that career. And I look back at that as my little safe spot for a while of recovering from the trauma of Paul and Chrissy and getting my feet on the ground so I could stay here because it was questionable in my early 30s about if my soul could stay in this life. I mean, so questionable. And so I think I got grounded in that work. And then when that was done, instantly it was gone. And that's when I had to say, okay, I have to step up and do the work I've always been in my heart doing and that I've given away for free, guiding people with intuition, numerology, spirituality, and really make that be my career. And that was a really hard choice because I was old enough then and I had a child and I was a single mom that it sounded crazy to everyone that I was going to do what I do now and try to support myself and my child with it. But I was ready and it worked. And here I am all these decades later doing it. But yes, we can have times where we're handed this kind of job to give us a sense of safety and security until we're ready for the next, right?
Yeah, I started also out like with incredible health problems. So I had, I think, at least two, if not three, close calls before I was two.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
mean, I was not even, I was obviously supposed to go through
Yeah.
and be here, but I mean, the
Yeah.
sensitivity was very high, you know.
And that's a sign too. My mother has told me a million times that I almost died my whole first year of life. I was allergic to cow's milk. And because it
Me
was the
too.
50s,
Exactly.
yeah, because it was the 50s, she wasn't nursing me. I mean, the moms in the 50s were told, don't do that. That just give him a formula. It's better for him, right? And so I was pretty much dying the whole first year of my
Yeah,
life. And my mom said I cried constantly. Well, I know I cried
same.
because my soul knew what I'd come here to do, and I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to do it.
That's interesting. It's almost identical because then I grew up on horse milk
Mm,
and
mm.
soy. Yeah, but because of that situation. But yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that answers
But
something.
I also want to add to this conversation that we are older now, Annette, and I know that these younger kids coming in, even the ones who are now in their 20s or their early 30s, they are more evolved, they are more sensitive than us, and they are not going to stick around. They will get done what they've come to do, and often it's waking up their whole posse by having tragedy or something like that, where they wake up everyone who loves them by leaving early. But they're not going to stick around like you and me and go through all the shit we've been through. They're just too evolved. And I look at all your kids in spirit and I go, they knew what they were doing. They knew this earth life is really, really hard and their soul mission was complete. But we stay because we are agreed that we will do our best to help others along the way. And, my cancer crisis last spring, I believe, was a soul choice exit point. And we have a few of those in our life where we have one final exit point that is unavoidable. And then we have a couple of choice points. And the choices are when your soul goes, are you ready to go? And you really have to do some inner work to get clear on, when I had that diagnosis last spring, I talked to Paul, I talked to the God source, I talked to the angels. I had many girlfriends helping me with these kinds of conversations. And I realized, no, I still want to work. I still want to help people here. Um, and so the diagnosis became, after surgery, no spread. And I know that that was being chosen every single moment until the diagnosis was given. Even my surgeon said it was a miracle that she did not expect to see no spread. And so I know, well, my soul said I'm going to stay. So, Lordy, all this year I've been going, was that really the best choice? So, okay.
Sue, can I say one thing?
Yes, yes.
This is just for the group. So a few people have been on these calls for the last year. When my mom was alive, I actually have a picture over here that she drew one night when we were together, and she wasn't anybody who doodled. So I was like, "What are you doing?" And I was working in the kitchen. She's on the phone doodling, and as I walked by, there was a picture of a mother and a daughter, and the daughter had a little halo over her head, and my breath got stuck in my throat, and I didn't say anything, but she was drawing the two of us. And then when she got sick suddenly and died suddenly, um, the last phone call we had before that, um, she wanted to bring me and my sister together, and I just couldn't go there because of the treatment that I had received for years. And I cried and I said, "I'm really sorry, I can't." And she said, "Oh, my angel child." And it struck me that she always saw me as this angel. And then, I came and did this work with you, and we talked about the
Yeah,
realm that I was from. And
Right.
I've been through so much grief and I've been through so much loss. But
Yeah.
I also know the older I get, that I'm meant to go through it because I'm meant to bring light to the dark places
Right.
because I know what those dark places are. I've lived them.
Right.
And
And
I'm
I,
saying this for everybody here,
right.
and Callie, I'm saying it to you too, because you are an angel.
That's right. And
So,
Callie has walked through unspeakable pain, and someday she will be the most profound healer and helper because she will be able to hold people who are in such terrible pain, and she'll be able to help them. And that's what we have all agreed to. Those of you who've lost children, all of us here who've walked this journey here of loss and grief and pain. It's not random. There are no accidents in a life plan. There are no accidents on earth. This is hard for humans to accept. But the greatest tragedies on the earth point of view from the human mind are actually in the divine realms with the soul planning and the soul posse that we're in. We're sitting around going, well, when you get down there, you're going to forget who you are. You're going to get lost in the meaningless details of your physical life. What do you think will help you wake up while you're there? And I know I said, well, it's got to be grief and pain because I won't wake up from fun and happiness and joy. I'll just coast. And the life guides said, yeah, I that's how it is down there. And my beautiful husband Paul and Chrissy and Marv and Jane and Dad and everybody said, okay, we will leave earlier than expected and even in tragic ways. And you will suffer and go through anger and grief, but you will wake up and then you'll help a lot of people. But everything here is also a blend of that destiny, that life path, and free will. But what I mean by that is our free will is how we respond to the crisis. The crisis, like I know for sure that Paul dying of cancer when I was 29 was a sealed deal, that there was nothing we could do about that. Even though we thought we could heal him, we were optimistic, we did everything. It was a signed contract for the highest good of all. But my free will in it was, how did I walk through that? Did I bring hope, seeking spiritual answers? Did I stay in the light as much as possible? Did I keep trying? Did I keep getting up? That's our free will. Because many of us know people who had a terrible thing happen early in their life and they just decided they could go through life being angry and blameful forever, and they haven't changed. And when you talk to them about it, they'll give you all these reasons why they're that way. And I always just think, gosh, they're not going to feel that way when they're crossing over. They're going to look at their life as such an incredible opportunity. And they're going to say, what was I afraid of? Why didn't I have courage? Courage is absolutely the most important quality to be on earth because every single day requires enormous courage here, courage to keep trying, courage to keep the heart open, courage to feel enormous pain and loss and grief and say, I'm going to look for a different way to think about this, to look at this. I'm going to look for the miracle moments in it. I'm going to look for the soul connections in it, the signs, all of that. And all of you have done that, or you wouldn't be here in this class doing this work. But it takes enormous courage. And so when you think about the one quality that you're going to have to call on a lot in your human life, yes, of course, it's love, but you can't even love if you aren't courageous enough to open your heart. So on that note, I want to quickly talk about one thing here in our homework, and then I want to do a little numerology today. Um, so let me So you guys remember in your original workbook how we talked about the specific angelic purpose that you have in life, clarifying your point of view, your actions, your purpose as a member of our angelic ministry, pinpointing what is yours to do in this life and what is the gift that you came to share with the world. And I've asked you to write that personal mission statement. And for your homework this week, really finish writing on this page. I am a powerful divine being who came here on purpose, and I'm going to accomplish my soul mission, and nothing can stop me. My greatest gift to the world is to help shift pain into light and healing and love. And I will offer that in every way that I can. And I will keep trying even when I feel like giving up. So that's an example of writing these statements, because in the writing of them, we give them power, we make them real. The other piece is, the daily situations at the end of the day, we can always sit down and go, well, here's what I accomplished today. That was good. Here's what I struggled with. Here's what I will do more of. But I don't want it to be a to-do list, like, oh, I got all my emails answered. And, that's not what I'm asking for. What I'm thinking is I accomplished this would be, oh, when I felt really depressed or discouraged about this certain problem, I went and shifted my frequency by doing so and so, and I called somebody and loved on them, and suddenly I was able to move through my day in a better way. I struggled with this, and that could be, I got angry at the world when I read a news headline or heard somebody say something that really pissed me off. But I learned how, or I tried to lift above it to gratitude, to sweetness, to love, to courage. And then I will do more of this. I will do more of feeling rather than thinking. Thinking is our thoughts that make us afraid, make us filled with anxiety, make us hate this physical world and the bad players in it. But when we get out of the head to the heart, we're shifting into the soul view, and we remember, these are all soul agreements. And when I'm in my higher soul, I do see the great beauty in everyone walking on earth, no matter their behavior, because I remember we are all souls on a journey doing the best we can for the purpose of higher evolution. So, that's homework for you guys. And there's more on this page. And this is important. What do you need to change about your thoughts, actions, and feelings? I could write a book on that for myself. But really try to be honest with yourself. Is it how do I spend my time? Is it something I do that shifts my energy into a darker place? Is it something I think about too often that shifts my energy into a darker place? And let's take responsibility for not letting ourselves linger in the dark feelings, because the world is at a tipping point right now, a tipping point of consciousness. And as you all know from all my talking about the vision that the angels gave me of there's more light winning. In fact, I'll go back to that right now just because it's always helpful for people right there. In 2014, I was given that vision that the light is always winning. It's brighter than the dark, and the light is always spreading around the earth, filling in the dark places. And that when one of us opens our heart, loves unconditionally, no matter what else is going on in our life, we are shooting that light up into the universe and helping others wake up, filling in the dark places with light. Darkness is only an absence of light. And we can call on the angels to help us step into that light. We can call on our departed loved ones. I also want to talk, just for the benefit of some people in this group, about calling on our departed loved ones. In fact, I'm going to get out of here. Some of you have talked to me about your departed loved one being in a very negative or angry or lost state, emotional state when they crossed. And I know some of you, your children, crossed intentionally. And so you've asked me, so is my beloved in a good space? Do I call on them? Are they healed? And I just want to remind you, yes, the minute that soul left the body, the soul was held by the angels, held in the light, held by departed loved ones of theirs, ancestors, and brought into the higher realms. Now, often when a soul leaves quickly, the conscious part takes a few minutes or a few days for them to sort of get their bearings and see what's happening. But the higher beings are always helping us with that. We are never alone when we cross. And for all of you who've lost someone in a tragic way, you can count on there being an angel to help them, to move them to the light. And then what we do is we do the soul review. And I want to make sure you understand that is not some godfather figure judging and condemning. That is not how it works, in spite of what mainstream dogma Christianity wants to tell us. That is written by man, that dogma. What happens instead is we are held by the loving beings, angels, departed loved ones, God source, and we review our life from the higher perspective, seeing the ripple effect of every thought, word, and action that we did in our lifetime. We don't see what other people were doing to us. That's not part of our soul review. Because sometimes we want to say, oh, well, I couldn't behave well because my mother did this to me or my father did this to me. That's not how it plays when we're doing a soul review. When we do the soul review, it's like, did I rise above that into my courage, into my love? Did I find a way to forgive? Did I find a way to do helpful work in the world? That's what the soul review shows us. But we're held in so much love as we look at it that it's not overwhelming to us and we don't end up feeling terrible about our life. Instead, we might say, oh, now I understand. I lived in fear too much, or I lived too much in my anger. But I see these moments where I stepped into love and forgiveness and compassion and all the people I helped. Ah, now I understand. And then your soul or that departed loved one's soul decides on their own. They're not sent back to another lifetime the way the Buddhists and the Hindus want to tell you. That's another dogma made by man. Our soul says, so now what do I want to do? Do I want to stay in the higher realms and learn and grow and help the earth from here? Or do I want to incarnate back and give it another run? And I'll tell you right now, I am just gonna say, I've got to remember to say, I'm staying in the higher realms. Whatever kind of crazy thinking was going on in my head when I said I was coming here, I'm just begging the angels to help me remember that I don't have to come back. I'm kidding you guys. Okay, Margaret, yes.
It reminds me, and I don't know if you've seen it. There's a movie called Defending Your Life
Oh,
with
that is
Albert
my favorite movie of all
and
times.
Meryl Streep, and it is hilarious, but that's exactly what it is.
Right,
He goes in every day to review some snippet of his life,
right.
and the crux of it is how many times did you stand in courage instead of standing in fear? But
Yes.
that movie is so funny, and he's doubting himself the whole time, and I wasn't good enough, and on. But it really was about how many times he stood in love and
Yeah.
courage.
I
It's so
hope you
beautiful.
guys can just go and rent that. It's called Defending Your Life it's an 80s movie and it's just profound. I mean, I remember when I saw that, I was like, wow, everything I've been learning and studying, it's all in this movie. It's called Defending Your Life. Meryl Streep is in it. So you can Google Meryl Streep movies or whatever and find it. But it makes it all funny, which you know me, I think humor is one of our greatest gifts on earth. So and then you get to go to the Past Life Soul Pavilion as part of this movie. And guess who is leading, showing you your past lives? It's Shirley MacLaine. So it's really worth watching and it will pull you out of a funk to watch it. So it's called Defending Your Life. Okay, there
Yeah.
was some hands up, I thought. Was there a
Um,
question?
no, I didn't see any
Oh,
hands up. Oh,
Susan?
there, Susan from
Yeah.
Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Yeah,
Hi,
hi. I just
sweetie.
wanted to say that this is quite an interesting conversation that we're all having here tonight. And I just found out a couple hours before we started tonight, my best friend called me, and one of her dear friends, who I know as well, her son slash daughter took their own life. We're just finding out the everything about it. But my son, it'll be 4 years on Wednesday since he transitioned, right? But so she's just
And
beside
Susan,
herself.
Susan, he took
Yeah.
his life, your son. I can't remember.
Oh no, he didn't.
Okay.
But you had said that that was his exit point. He could have
Right.
left earlier, but he
Right.
didn't.
Right.
And I'm sure, and that was all about giving me the to be ready
The
because we were
time.
just so entwined to be ready. Yeah.
Yes.
So but and I had also, because I prepare myself for this time of the year,
Yeah.
I was really diving into some spiritual work and readings and a lot, and all this is just coming into fruition. And anyway, it just brings me to what I'm here to do, because I can just feel, even this friend that called me just got diagnosed with cancer and is having, it's just like all, and I'm just there, and a lot of other things this week. So I'm very grateful to have met you and be a part of this group, because it just helps me stay grounded, and also the information on how to keep myself spiritually fit, because I tend to, in the winter time here in Canada, not get outside,
Yeah.
snowstorms, cold weather, etc., snack in the evening, you name
Right.
it. So I'm really glad for the wake up call, because I have to be there for my soul posse. So
Yeah, you
thanks.
do.
Just wanted to share that.
Susan, we love you so much, and I'm so glad you're sharing. And you've already helped so many people. And that friend calling you to tell you about her child, I mean, that's an example of the great work that you're here to help with. Definitely. Thank you
Amen.
so
Thank
much.
you.
All of you are such brave and beautiful souls. I tell you, this class. Every time I'm out in the ordinary world dealing with ordinary people, I try to describe you all in this class and they just don't even understand. So we have to be so grateful that we found each other, that we are part of each other's soul posse, and that every Monday night we come together and remember these things and work on these things together. There's no greater blessing because there's so many people who are really alone in their life. They don't have anybody around them who is like-minded or spiritually pursuing things. And so they doubt themselves so much because anybody they talk to is going to tell them they're crazy. I mean, even that hospice nurse video I sent you, my sister's a nurse, and she said that they saw spirit all the time when they worked on the oncology ward and souls were crossing, but they could talk about it amongst themselves, but they couldn't talk to the doctors about it because the doctors would say that they should be fired. It would be a mark against them because it's not scientifically proven. But here's the deal, you guys. It is scientifically proven. The quantum physicists have been teaching for decades now that this is an energy-based universe, not a matter-based universe. When you really understand what that means, what they've been saying is that nothing you see, touch, and feel here is real. It is energy. So energy can never be created or destroyed. We are energy at our core, not matter. And science is taking so long to catch up with things that have been proven in the lab of quantum physics. And there are even researchers who present at Helping Parents Heal conferences who show that now they are able to measure consciousness as someone is dying. Somebody died inside an MRI, and they were able to measure the consciousness beyond the body after death. So we can all take in this science now and say we believe it, but I guarantee you it'll be 100 years before mainstream science on Earth agrees to believe that. So you have to find your people. You have to find your posse, and the rest of the world will feel empty to you until you're with your like-minded souls. And that's another reason we each need to be doing our soul's work, because you don't want to go to work all day and talk meaningless conversations with your coworkers and do meaningless tasks when your soul is awakened to the greater meaning of life. You are being called now to reinvent your life, become some form of healer, some form of medium, Reiki healer, on and on and on, so that your people all day you're talking to are like this. By the way, my kitty is so upset. I have to let my kitty in, so hold on. It's okay, baby. Sorry. My cat and I are so connected that she's in my dreams at night. And last night we were bicycling and she was sitting on my bicycle. And as I would turn the wheel, she was looking in all the different directions. And then I woke up from the dream and she was right there in bed next to me. And she talks and she went, "Oh, wow. Like, wasn't that cool? We were bike riding." And I was like, "Yes, I love you." So that brings us another point, that when we wake up to that, this is an energy-based universe, then you start to realize, wow, animals are sentient beings. Of course, they have souls, they are conscious. And guess what, people? Even things like computers, desks, the chair you're sitting on is made of energy. So it has consciousness in it. This is a completely interactive universe of consciousness, of light, of awareness, of love. And the more aware we are of that, the more it enlightens and informs how we walk through our life. You can't be dismissive or cruel to an animal once you've talked to an animal's soul. Sorry. So I had wanted to talk about numerology. I got to do something really quick, and then
I just shared the soul path
thank you.
if you're going to do it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we don't have a lot of time left, and I do want to do a guided meditation. So wait, I have to get this over here.
So I'm gonna before you start your guided meditation, I just want to remind everyone, Sue, if you haven't been on her YouTube channel, please get on there and subscribe. There are so many really great videos in there, free, really helpful numerology, angelic, how to communicate with your loved ones. But also you can get on Amazon. You can buy her books. I just pushed through the Soul Path calculator, which she's bringing up right now. If you haven't taken one of her numerology classes, that's how I first met her. And let me tell you, it changed my life. I had no idea about numerology until I saw her speak that day.
Well, Margaret, I love you so much, and I'm so grateful when you promote my work, because I always forget to do that, I never remember, oh, I've got books that I want to sell. Oh, I've got a website, I've got videos. And I really, really appreciate that. Really appreciate it. So everybody here in the class, hopefully by now you understand your soul path. But if you don't, somebody unmute and give me your birth month, birth date, and birth year, just so I be able to walk the journey with her, and she'll have to let them go and trust that the new and better part of her soul posse will show up. When we go through a big trauma, we lose people who are not at that level of awakening with us. And, it's happened to all of us at some point in our life. And Kelly, if you have friends you can't relate to, it's okay to let them go right now. And you find your like-minded people who are going to look at it from this higher perspective. So I wanted to say one other thing about that. Now I can't remember. But okay, let's go do our guided meditation. And for your homework, please do try to pay attention to angel interventions during the week so that we can share them, because hardly anybody shared one this week, including me. And I think it's because we aren't paying attention. So let's pay attention, because the angels are always giving us signs and beautiful awakenings. And on that note, I'm going to put on my meditation music.
I'm really grateful we had an opportunity to share our angel love with Callie tonight.
And
Thank you.
Callie, you are invited to come back every Monday night with us. And
I will. Thank you.
yeah, it's a beautiful group. So, all right, everybody. So right now we're going to take 3 deep breaths. Inhale. And again. And again. The angels are already with us. They've especially come tonight to help Callie, knowing that she's in a very vulnerable place. And they are so proud of her for being strong and having the courage to join us tonight. And so the angels wrap their arms around this entire circle of souls in our class. And they lift us up, moving us through the quantum field of time and space, traveling far outside of the earth realm, through the galaxies, into the higher realms that we've called things like heavenly realms, whatever word you want to put to it. The angels are taking us to the realms closest to the God source. And as you move through that energy, you feel all of your earth worries melting away, your anxiousness, your fear, your pain peeling off of you as the angels travel with you. The angels are pointing out all the beauty in the galaxies and the higher realms. And they're saying, soak this beauty up. This is what is real. Feast your eyes on the beauty of beautiful mountains, snow-covered, snow-topped mountains in the distance, huge oceans and lakes of deep blue water, gorgeous deserts and fields and gardens, extraordinary roses and flowers, and animals that we love, all in these higher realms. Everything shimmers with a higher frequency of unconditional love, of vibrancy. And you can communicate purely intuitively in these realms. And so the angels bring us to a beautiful clearing in this nature world of the heavenly realms. And they hold us all standing in a circle, hand to hand, all holding hands. And first, they're asking Callie to step forward into the middle of the circle. And each of us is now sending pure, unconditional love to Callie, soul to soul, beyond the earth capability of love. This is pure God source, unconditional love, breaking her heart open with this love so that she feels, at least for now, like all is well. All is well with her soul. All is well with her departed loved one. And she feels love. And now we ask all of you to put your loved one into the circle, the one that you want to heal, the one that you want to help. Put them into that circle now. And see them as their highest and best self. And Callie, you can put your departed loved one into the center of the circle now. Because as we put these souls into the middle of the circle, the angels help them. The angels lift them up to the highest frequency of God consciousness, merging them with their higher soul, their all-knowing wisdom, their all-loving consciousness. And in this moment, see those people in the middle of the circle looking back at you with great joy, looking happier, healthier than you may have ever seen them before, aware that they are a divine being, that there is nothing dark or negative or wrong about any part of their life or yours. And they are looking at you, laughing now, going, "Ah, I remember who I am now. I remember the goodness of my soul. I remember the courage of my heart." And you are pouring so much love on them that they feel empowered with love, laughing with joy, ascended from the earth worries, the earth pain. And us in this outer circle feel the angels standing behind us as we heal and lift up all of those in the middle of the circle. So we feel super empowered by the angelic presence with us. And now the angels are inviting all of us to step into the circle so that they can heal us as well. So we're all looking at each other and laughing and going, okay, and we're stepping into the middle of this incredible circle. You can stand next to your loved one in this circle. You can hold their hand, see them as their most beautiful self, happy, healed, awake, aware. And now we are facing the angels, looking at us, sending us the brightest light of love you could ever imagine. It's beyond anything on earth. It feels like you're being zapped with love that opens you up, breaks through any cynicism you have, breaks through any pain you have, pours light over every wound that you carry. You've never felt anything like this on earth. This is otherworldly healing, otherworldly love. Bask in it, soak it up, absorb it. And now you can hug your loved one in this circle because you're both in that high frequency of God's source love and light. And you're laughing with each other. All is well with your souls. And you're kissing their hands. And you're saying, I'm going to remember you this way every time I think of you. I'm only going to see you in this light, in this kind of love. And they're looking at you, nodding, going, thank you. Thank you. I'm grateful. And now we step back to the outer circle so that our loved ones are left in the circle. And the angels lift them up before our very eyes, ascending them straight into the God source energy, where they are healed and helped in ways that we could not do for them, but the God source can do all. And now we feel such relief and joy knowing that our loved one is well, that we are good. And the angels begin to move us back through time and space, through the quantum field, passing all the galaxies, seeing how we chose to incarnate on Earth because of its beautiful interplay of light and dark. And we agreed to wake up to our light on Earth and to hold that light. So now we move gracefully back into the physical world, but this time holding our light so bright. This time feeling transformed, illuminated, connected. And now we drop back into the physical body, taking 3 breaths. Inhale. And again. Again. And as you open your eyes, make a promise to yourself that this week, no matter what comes your way, you will remember that you are a powerful being of light, and that that is greater than any challenge or circumstance that could come your way in the earth realm. You are of the angelic realm. You are of the God source energy. And so it is. I love you all so much. Thank you for this class.
Thank you, Sue. Love you.
Love
Thank
you.
Everybody.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.
Thank
Love you,
Thank
you.
you.
Callie.
Thank you
Love
all.
you. Love you, Callie.
Thank you.
Love you
Bye-bye.
all. Bye-bye.